Hello and welcome to another baseball video, and today we are going to talk about what actually happened at the end of the World Baseball Classic USA versus Dominican Republic at the last strikeout against Perdomo.
That's the 97 home run for the ages. Oh my goodness! Yes! The day! Wow, that was awesome.
The only thing I wanted to talk about this because I want to break it down a little bit enough of because it got me of knowing of what actually really happened and generally of why the called it as a strike. Obviously enough, it does look like obviously it's a ball in a way because it's out of the strike zone, it's low, and stuff. Perdomo should be at first base and stuff, and Tati should come up at the next plate and stuff. That should happen, fortunately enough. But you gotta also realize enough of there is a possibility enough of what actually really basically what really happened. The to call a strike on Perdomo at that last call and stuff because there's two things I'm looking at and stuff. One thing enough of the ball and generally enough of where the ball ended and stuff. Obviously, again, if you look on the screen and stuff on TV and stuff where the strike zone is at and stuff. I totally understand enough of yeah, it's low. We totally understand that in a way and stuff, but in some ways enough of it also had a little curve to it. It went kind of more up and stuff and then went down and stuff. So you never know of enough of the ball might slightly hit the strike zone and then just deep down and stuff, and that's possibility why the called it as a strike and stuff. Who knows and stuff. But another thing I also saw enough against Perdomo is the knee and stuff. Because if you really think about it and stuff, I really want to look down into this and stuff. So here we are of enough showing of at the very end of the game, USA versus Dominican Republic. Mason Miller up to the play against Perdomo and stuff. And if you really see what really happened, enough of what I actually saw, and I want to show you what it is and stuff. So here we go. We're gonna play and stuff, and obviously, yeah, it's low. So if I go back just a little bit and stuff, sorry, of going slow of it. So if you track where the ball is at, so that's where the ball. So if you track the ball of where it's actually at and stuff, and then if you track of where the knee is at, I don't know that generally enough that should be a strike and stuff because again, the batting where the strike zone is supposed to be at and stuff is basically mid range of where you're underneath of your shoulder and stuff, like midway of your body and stuff, and then the lower of the strike zone is supposed to go all the way to your kneecaps and stuff. That's when it's been doing enough. It's weird enough of when I was trying to look of some rules on MLB and stuff, I was not finding anything like if you bend the knee and stuff, is that still called a strike and stuff? So I have no idea in a way and stuff. That's just what I saw. You gotta also have to think about what is the think and stuff, because obviously enough what we're seeing right here is a ball, but it's also enough of what the ball did and stuff, because again it curves, so it's possibility enough of it went in the strike zone and then it went down and stuff, and that's possibility of enough, or it's Perdomo's knee went down, and that is the same thing. Because again, I don't know, the strike zone should like go up and down, like the strike zone shouldn't move around and stuff. Again, is this a rule? Because I have no idea, to be honest and stuff. But if you want to see more things and stuff, because I will show you more and stuff. Because right now I'm gonna show you when Whitlock was against Soto. This is actually later on in the bottom of the seventh, I think. Let me look and stuff. So here's Soto and stuff. I think this is the eighth. My bad. Sorry. And stuff. And this is exactly the same thing what happened to Perdomo and stuff. And who knows enough, this kind of sucks in a way. He was giving bad calls back and forth, both of these teams and stuff. But again, I'm just seeing what a comparison enough of what Soto did and Perdomo did, because they did exactly the same thing, and I'll show you. So obviously I'm not gonna play it and stuff, but I don't know about slow motion, but just in way enough of the ball went similar ways. Who knows if that's in right there? Obviously, yeah, the ball's in the strike zone or whatever, but when he tracks to the ball, it's low. But again, if you look the ball right here, again, and stuff, look at the knee. Look at Juan Soto's knee. His knee's low. So if you show enough of Perdomo is doing the same thing, again, is that a strike and stuff? So that's just what I'm seeing and stuff. I have no idea and stuff. It's obviously a bad way to lose a game, especially in the World Baseball Classic. I know it's exciting and stuff. Gotta tip your cap to USA. I was rooting for them. I'm Team USA. I already put my Team USA roster idea enough of it and stuff. This was absolutely crazy game and stuff. It's absolutely insane. So again, I have no idea. To be honest enough, I don't know if that is a rule of what the saw of enough of the knee drops and stuff, or it has to be a ball because it's not in the strike zone. And I'm just going comparison of what the strike zone to what your body is and stuff. And if it's like illegal of enough to put your knee more down so you won't get a strike or anything, again, it's very close. They're both very similar way as the same, pitching wise and stuff. And it just looks like Juan Soto and Perdomo did exactly, the same thing and stuff, and getting the same results and stuff. So I don't know what the rule is. I hopefully enough of I'm wrong here and stuff. I want to be wrong, because this is kind of interesting, weird ways enough to lose a game and stuff, especially so big and something about so at the very end. You never know. DR can actually come back and probably win the game or tie the game up and stuff. Who knows and stuff. Who knows enough of it. USA won anyways and stuff. It's tough luck. I feel bad because obviously it happened on my boy Perdomo, because I'm, obviously Diamondbacks, you can see and stuff, but I was rooting for USA and stuff. So let me know enough of this is actually a rule of enough of a, if the did call a right call of the strike, or the ump actually did call a bad call. And fortunately enough, currently enough of what we saw on TV live, from the videos and stuff, it's low. It's supposed to be a ball. Perdomo's supposed to be at first and all this stuff. Like, all of that. Like, I totally understand that. Like, it's like, we all saw it, and people are saying it's like, well, next World Baseball Classic, we got, the challenge thing. We need to have that. But I'm just trying to think of why of the ump called it as a strike and stuff. And again, there's just two things that I thought enough of: the ball, of the way how it just bends into the strike zone and stuff, and then also the knee drop as well, because again, it depends enough of the strike zone wise and stuff, who knows and stuff. But yeah, it's really tough to see how games can actually end that way and stuff, because fortunately enough, that's like kind of normal, because that happens in MLB. Like, there's no joke. There's so many times enough of umps can make a lot of mistakes and stuff. And honestly enough, this is one of them. This is huge mistake in a way. Like, I cannot believe enough of USA honestly win this way. And it's just not good. I feel bad for TR, but in some ways enough, like, I'm so glad USA won. Like, I'm sorry, like, I gotta root for my country. But I see why DR is devastated. I see the fans are devastated. It's tough. I would definitely say that's tough and stuff. Hopefully enough of John Boy Media actually sees this and stuff. Hopefully you actually break it down and stuff. And if you actually found like a rule, like actually a rule of about the dropping knee and stuff, like, because again, I was trying to find it and stuff, and if you find it, that'd be great and stuff. Do ever video and stuff, I'll send you this video, Jimmy, and so all those typical things and stuff. So hope you like this video. I understand enough of it and stuff. I just want to get this out of there and stuff, because again, it's interesting and stuff. You gotta understand how to think about other people, realize enough of what they're thinking in their mind and why they did it and all this stuff. So just what are my thoughts and stuff. So I want to hear what you guys thoughts. Put your comments below and stuff if this is very interesting. Do you agree with me, or you don't disagree? You thinking the ump should be fired in some ways and stuff, like he shouldn't ump in the WBC and at all and stuff. So we'll see enough of what things can change in the World Baseball Classic in like 3 years ago in the future and stuff. So that's basically it. Hopefully you like this video. Hit that like button. Subscribe for more content like this. Have a nice day, and thank you for watching.